Yeah, I want to get back to something that Rashida alluded to in terms of New Orleans culture. Uh, this city, people come from all over the world to look, not only to hear the music, but also to deal with Second Line and Mardi Gras Indian as a form of cultural expression. And yet, in terms of the reviews, I never see this as performance art or art. And I'm questioning, does the art critic see, or the gallerists, do they see this form of cultural expression as art? And if not, what is art? Because I'm confused in terms of what I'm seeing in these galleries. The young man, Adam, he talked about the fact that there are all of these people coming here. Well, from what I see, they're bringing the same thing that they were doing someplace else. So I'm concerned about what's here that is overlooked in terms of as a cultural manifestation of what we create and what makes New Orleans very, very unique in terms of its cultural expressions.
Well, one thing you brought up is that the gallerists and the second lines, the gallerists are out to make money. And, you know, how are they going to make money and sell second line? Now, art dealing with second line, there seems to be no shortage of that. I saw a tremendous show, you know, that you were in that featured tons of this sort of art. I'm not sure if I'm not saying a depleted representation of that sort of culture in the art scene here. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but there are artists. You're absolutely right that there are New York artists and Philadelphia artists and artists from all over that are coming here and creating their own art. I'm not sure if I'm seeing a diminished. Perhaps I haven't been here long enough, but I do see a great deal of artists that are creating New Orleans art. I'm not quite sure what. Did I answer some of what you're asking here?
Yeah, some of, but I'm still looking for more.
I saw a big article about Daryl Montana's suit that paid homage to his father. Was that your article?
That wasn't.
Okay. But it, like pictures. I think it gets rid of
it. Kind of goes back to what is vernacular and what is high art, you know, and I think we all really appreciate the fact that in New Orleans, vernacular and high art get kind of mixed up a lot, you know. But being active in journalism for a long time, I've noticed that for a while I remember everybody sort of discovers, photographers are always discovering second lines and discovering Mardi Gras Indians, and then you get inundated with all these photographs in galleries of second lines and Mardi Gras Indians. And then you start to worry about, well, I mean, when do you reach the point when saturation starts to lead to a kind of a numbness? Because as much as we may personally know the difference between Daryl Montana and Bayayai, and totally different personalities involved, Victor Harris is a really wonderful guy. Unless you know them personally, it's just a picture of an Indian.
Well, couldn't you say the same thing about the stuff we see on the walls now?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that too, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, you reach a saturation point, whether it's a saturation point with conceptual art or a saturation point with the way Mardi Gras Indians are depicted, you have to really be concerned after a while. When I was photographing Mardi Gras Indians when I was 20 years old, I thought, wow, this is really amazing, wonderful stuff, And then after, many, many, many years of seeing other people's pictures of Mardi Gras Indians that were shockingly similar to mine, it's just really hard to, I think because you're dealing with such a level of personal nuance that does not lend itself to depiction or mechanical reproduction that easily, that, people, the way things work in media culture, the way things work in gallery culture, is they're going to think, well, okay, we did that last year, we're going to have to wait another year till we do this again. And
that's Eric, you could say the same thing about performance art. I'm sure you can depict a performance as well, without understanding all of the nuances that take place within that. So, I'm not quite sure I understand, your answer.
Well, I don't understand either. I'm just telling you how it is.
Okay.
I wanted to say, I'm not sure that we want to bring it into some kind of art. scene, because it's sort of what happens with the bands when they get into the recording studio. They lose their soul to a large degree. So it's true that we had Victor Harris doing Prospect 1, and it was very important for Dan to do that, to bring attention to the fact that it is a cousin to what's going on in a lot of places in the art world in many ways. But I wouldn't want to co-op it.
Well, I don't see the difference between what's in the galleries and what's going on out on the street as far as one being co-opted and the other not. I think it's not a valid answer.
Well, maybe, and it's interesting because I was thinking this earlier and I raised my hand. I think there's, this is a statement I'm not really got it. Oh, sorry.
Here you go.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so I was actually thinking something that might relate to this, which is there's always, to my mind, been a bit of a tension, probably everywhere, but certainly in New Orleans, between the need, the desire and the need for commodification, for sales of art so that we can live, and then what was referred to as the organic nature, if we want to get, I don't know if that's nostalgia, I don't know if that's romanticizing, but the organic nature of what has been, in our minds, New Orleans, and in that broader cultural context, New Orleans art. And certainly the history of the second lines and the Mardi Gras Indians would come into this, which is that what I think makes it so precious is that it literally is an organic expression coming out from the streets, not by self-defined artists who are out there to specifically commodify and sell their art, which I think a lot of artists have a problem with. That's always the struggle. You know, I want to be an artist, how do I survive as an artist? So I think that New Orleans at this juncture is at this critical point, you know, post-Katrina, all this influx, all this energy of how are we viable in the rest of the world and yet remain true to what we are as New Orleans, which hasn't been so marketplace.
And if I could throw one more piece into this, is what about those artists who do not want to be associated with second line art, who do not want to be representing who want to create art that doesn't necessarily reflect what you're calling organic or whatever you're calling. Perhaps there's a threat to New Orleans artists that they feel that sort of culture is in danger of losing that. But what about those artists out there? There's many new artists that are coming from all over the place that want to be New Orleans artists, but don't want to make art that reflects the second line. What do you, can they not? I mean, maybe that's a question. I'm not posing the answer, but they don't. They're post-Katrina artists who don't want to be reflecting Katrina. They want to be painting whatever there is they're painting or sculpting or defining, but they don't want the place itself to be part of their art at this point.
But
I'm
you're
not
talking
defending
about the
them.
history of art, man. The history of art is that there's always artists who go outside of the so-called mainstream and create, and then that's brought into the fold. That is the history of Western art. That's the history of world art. So I don't understand, and I'm here to understand, since you are the people who are writing about this. I create not out of a need to sell, I create out of a need that I want to express my living experience. So that's what I'm interested in. So I'm not the artist. I just happen to make money. I'm fortunate enough to make money at what I do. But that's never was my intention. And I think that's why I get proud of what I get in the long run. So I'm trying to understand you as writers, your position in terms of this whole dialogue.
I don't know, Willie.
I know. We've had this before, brother. I'm going to keep bringing it up, too.
So, yeah, so that's